Go.
Okay, and there we see Helena doing a front dive tuck, just like we saw Walter do there, but there you didn't see a good circle in the hurdle. It wasn't real balanced. I would go about a 2.5 on that because she didn't touch her legs in the tuck. It was just a little too far out. Walter's went up a little bit better and was a little tighter going in the water. And now we'll see Grant again showing a front dive tuck here just to give us a little different interpretation of the dive. And see that, I would think that's at least a 5, probably more like a 5.5 on that. He went a little too far over onto his back, but he had good balance. He was way up high in the air. A good strong kick out, just a little bit over on his back, but an otherwise very nice dive. 5.5, maybe even a 6 on a good day. And see, here we've got a nice example of a front dive tuck. That's a 7, maybe a 7.5. Again, obviously the one-step hurdle, but disregarding that, that's a very nice dive, nice and high, controlled. She's got a nice line going in the water, straight up and down, at least a 7, maybe a 7.5. And now we'll go back, and it's difficult seeing the differences in ages here, and it's difficult to score. We've got Mary's 14 under, maybe senior now, and Martha's opposed to an 8 and under here. And that's maybe a 4. She had a pretty decent tuck on it. She had a good strong come out, but she was just a little too far away from the board and obviously not straight up and down going in the water. Not a bad dive, but probably about a 4 for an 8 and under. And back to Henry here, I would go about a 6 on that. It was a nice dive, nice and high in the air, just a little too far away from the board. And you'd like to see it a little tighter going in the water, but all in all, a pretty solid dive. And now we're going to move on to Savannah here and get an idea of a back dive straight. And see, now that's something that you'll see probably pretty frequently. Sometimes you'll see the kids do an arm circle as if they're doing a back press. But in reality, what that dive is right there, it's called a back lineup. That's not really even a back dive as we would think about it in diving. It's typical. It's something that you'll see pretty often. But she didn't jump at all. She just fell into the water. I would go no higher than a 2 in any circumstance on that, just because you're not demonstrating really any of the diving facets of that dive. She stayed tight, and for an 8 and under, that's not a bad thing. It's just simply, unless they're jumping, unless they're using the diving board, unless they're showing a takeoff, I wouldn't go any higher than a 2 on that dive. And hopefully as a contrast here, we've got Mary will show the same dive with the back press with hopefully a good jump on it. And see there, I would go 5.5, maybe even a 6 on it. It's just a little too far away from the board, but she stayed tight throughout, nearly straight up and down on the bottom. But certainly, especially in the younger age groups, I would definitely go 5.5 or 6 on that dive because it is difficult for the younger kids to jump as well. And when you see one doing something where they do the jump on it, where they show a solid back press as opposed to just falling off the board as we saw Savannah do, I would certainly reward that a little bit higher.